Oh dear.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for being here with Cup of Gratitude with Jacqueline Arlen. I am so excited to have Jacqueline here. I met her a couple years ago through networking, and just her warmth and gratitude just kind of ooze and is just a delightful. So I'm so excited to have Jacqueline here. Jacqueline is founder for Project Walk Boston. Did I get them in the right order? I am always. And Victoria's Victory Foundation. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. We'll do some introductions, but I know I could stand to have a couple deep breaths before we kind of move into this space. So I'm going to invite everybody to just kind of close their eyes and put their hands on the chest or down, however works for them, and just take in 3 cleansing breaths. Alrighty, so I am Lisa Berman. I am a life coach. I work with folks, helping them really find greater joy. A lot of that is through life balance, which we know isn't really life balance. It's living in harmony with your goals and your values, but that's a whole other topic. And helping people work towards their goals and their visions. And so Cup of Gratitude has been one of my babies for a little bit over a year now, where I bring folks together for a conversation about gratitude. It is a time to kind of learn from different people about the different things that they do. And so I'm excited to have Jacqueline here. Jacqueline, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple of minutes, just because I won't do it justice, to kind of talk about your story, like shortly, like a little. I've encouraged people, so I know. So Patty, I don't know, did you ever read any of the links that were in the Facebook page about Jacqueline?
No, I did not yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just was assessing where, because I know everybody else kind of has a little bit of a backstory. Jacqueline, if you wouldn't mind just kind of taking a couple of minutes to kind of talk about how you got to where you are.
So that's hard to do in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I think a real short version of this, 16 years ago, I started this journey with my daughter, Victoria, who became very ill and fell into a vegetative state. And on that journey as a mother, I became just so desperate. I didn't have a lot of help in the medical field, and kind of really had to really step out and really pull from within myself and find resources within myself to help save her. And in the process of doing that, kind of found myself and found my purpose, really, for what really this journey was all about. So after many years, Victoria came back, and she was in a wheelchair, and on that kind of part of that journey was trying to have her walk again. And through having her walk, I found Project Walk, which ended up being my life calling. And I opened up the first Project Walk on the East Coast, and I'm really paraphrasing quickly here.
Yeah.
And also on the journey, we saw so many people that were in need, and we were in a family that were in need, and that was a big calling on our heart. And we saw it even more through Project Walk, so that really put us on our true mission of starting our nonprofit foundation, the Victoria's Victory Foundation, and helping this population. So I'm really blessed that Victoria and I always say that we call it our tragic, beautiful journey. We would have never chosen to go through it, but we would never change it because of the impact that we're having. And I think it's really about what are we going to do as our legacy while we're here. And before this journey, I never paid attention to any of that. I just was kind of going about life, and this put us right on our backs. And in the process, we're helping people from all over the world. And so we've never had more peace in our heart. So that's kind of a little bit in a nutshell. The foundation is 5 years old, and we've helped, oh my gosh, so many people. And Project Walk has just had year 7, and I have people coming from all over the world, and Victoria's walking and, you know, still has a lot that she deals with daily, but we're changing lives, and that's really what it's all about. Yeah. So that's a real quick nutshell.
That was really quick, but
we could be here an hour with just my journey.
well, but I think we'll get into the journey as it within the conversation, because you know, so one of my big questions is kind of before this pivotal point, Jacqueline, did you have any kind of gratitude practice kind of before Victoria got ill?
That's a great question, because I was actually thinking about that as I was just kind of preparing for this call. And I, to be honest with you, I literally had never thought about this question before. And it's crazy that you would ask me, because I sat and I thought, I don't think I practice gratitude at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, I mean, I had, you know, 4 children, you know, Victoria's a triplet. I was just trying to survive life.
Right.
And I think I tell all my 20 somethings, my trainers, like, your 20s are hard, and then your 30s, and you have family, and you're trying to make ends meet, and life was just busy that I didn't take the time. But I also realized that I was lost, very, very lost. And I believe I probably kind of suffered with a little underlying depression, because I realized that I thought I had a home, I had a healthy family, I had, you know, a wonderful husband, supportive family, you know, you think you have it all, and then it all gets taken away from you, and you realize none of that matters. And so I found gratitude for my survival to get through this, because everything that could possibly go wrong with Victoria went wrong, and on our journey. And it was so surreal, and I had no support, that if I hadn't found that, I don't know how I could have possibly been there for her as her support. So it's crazy that you would ask that. Honestly, I'm embarrassed to say, but no, I didn't stop long enough. I was just running all the time. And I think I was kind of running away. Do you know what I'm saying? And not facing the everyday thing.
But I don't think you're alone in that, Jacqueline. I think that most people kind of, when we have this conversation, maybe had little practices of gratitude, but not kind of embracing it in the same way that they do afterwards.
Good. Well, I knew I was blessed. I had, obviously, I knew I was, you know, there were people that were homeless. You always think of stuff like that, but it wasn't the 99% of my day like it. You know what I'm saying? It was maybe the 1%, because I was just trying to just get through life. Yeah.
Right. How did gratitude kind of find you, or you find gratitude in that way that kind of it buoys you up now? So I know it's a huge part. So
right. Well, I was it was so horrific what we were going through, and I was so desperate, and I realized that I didn't know how I was going to continue on, and I knew if I kept on focusing how bad she was, I was not going to be able to get up each day. And I remember it being, I would go to bed when she would finally fall asleep, and I would pray that I'd wake up and she would be better. And if I woke up focusing on my situation, it was really hard for me to get through the day. And I know, even though I wasn't always aware if she was aware, I knew she was looking to me. And I thought, if I let her think I'm not coping, I'm her lifeline. But I'm so distraught and hurting so much with what we're currently going through. I was like, how can I do this? And it was actually, it was a pastor. My faith obviously was a huge part of this journey. And one of the pastors I was listening to had talked about starting each day with gratitude, with what you're thankful for. Because I always found the mornings were my hardest. It's almost like you're awake and you're not quite awake, and it's in between that slumber, and that's the time when kind of dark energy and thoughts come in, and you're like, oh gosh, this is what I have to face, and I don't think I can get through it, and how am I going to get through it? And you're kind of starting that, and the next thing you know it, you're not getting through it, and your day, it's like I used to say, it was like the shade is pulled down over your eyes, like it's still like the shades are shut. And so then I went about the day, and it was hard. And when I started being thankful for, with my situation, it completely turned things around. I literally, before I would even open my eyes, I was like, okay, thank goodness I have a roof over my head. Thank goodness I'm not in a hut in Africa with bugs crawling on her. Like, at least I can feed her, even though it's through a feeding tube, and at least she's breathing. I have oxygen. I used to give her, like, my mom would buy her these beautiful floral sheets for the hospital bed. So I would just start, okay, and I would open the curtain and I'd say, it's a beautiful day, and whatever I could find to be thankful for. And my mom always said that she would come over every day, and she would drive over praying like, oh my gosh, I've got to just have the strength for Jacqueline and Victoria. And I would be having an okay day, and we would find a little bit of humor. And I started that practice, and that's truly what saved me. Because if I focused on all the negatives that were happening, I wasn't going to be any good for Victoria. And I had to get through that day, and I couldn't change what was happening, but I could change how I perceived it and what I was looking at, because there were a lot of blessings, and I had her. And even though it wasn't as I had her before, I still had her, and she was still alive. And so I still, to this day, I have her, and things are really, I have so many blessings, but I'm like, thank you that I'm taking a step today. Thank you that I opened my eyes. Thank you, I took a breath. So I'm still doing it, but it's just at a different level. And it's amazing how that changes your whole day if you start that, because I do find that early hours, or that first time you're waking up and you're not quite focused, it's so easy to start down a negative doomsday path. It's hard because you're not quite awake. And so, you know what I'm saying? And it's the time when those little voices started. And so that was a huge part for me, a huge part for that, because as bad as the situation, there's always going to be someone that has it better, and there's always going to be someone that has it worse. And the fact that, I think most people don't realize, the fact that we turn our faucet on and get running water, we're so rich compared to a huge percentage of this world. And we have to really realize that and recognize that.
Right. Yeah, I'm always struck by, and just kind of with the hurricane and kind of approaching Florida, that notion of being grateful for running water and the roof over my head and those things. And I can remember one time years ago, kind of within my gratitude practice, all of a sudden that became so real, like, oh yeah, right, like there's people, and so right, when you're struggling, the roof over your head and the comfy bed are real things to be grateful for. I'm curious, so do you ever try gratitude in the evening as well? Or I'm
I
kind of
do
that
it
was one of my
24/7 now. Like it's no constantly. It's constant. It's just become who I am. And I, when you almost lose, I mean, your child, that's just, so I have her, and I say that to my clients. I call them all my angels, and they could have died that day and they didn't. So I'm grateful to be in their presence, and I tell them that every day at work. Like, I'm grateful to know you. I'm grateful that I get to be part of just this amazing
their journey.
and yes, their journey. So no, I do it 24/7, and I'm actually been really trying to do it because I lost my mom 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to be grateful for the fact that I had her for 84 years, and I have people that lose their mom when they're 20, or their moms were in their 40s, or so. As much as I'm trying to process that loss, I'm also grateful for the time I had with. So I find that I do it all the time, and especially with the population that we serve through our nonprofit, and because the stories and the people that are looking for scholarships, and what, people that are not able to get out of bed on their own. And so I'm seeing it all day long, as Susan can attest to that, and also through Project Walk. So I like, how can the fact that my legs are even taking steps to walk into the building. So I'm honestly, it's just all the time. It's all the time. Yeah. It just becomes a practice that you don't even, again, like, I'm embarrassed to say 16, 20, 17 years ago, I didn't even gratitude. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm grateful I have that, but it wasn't like it is now. But
right.
no, but my heart and my soul is on fire. I was not before. I was just, Victoria always says, Mommy, we were just kind of existing, but not really living. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at flowers and they look different now. You know what I mean? The sunset is different for me now. And all these little miracles that we see every day, because we can get through our situations when we really are grateful. It's because we have a lot to be grateful for. We do. And I don't think there's a person in this world that can't find something that they're grateful for,
And you do, certainly. And right. Gratitude is your language all the time. And I think that was what struck me in talking with you, is how that is such a driver for you. And I just love that, because I think
thank you.
There needs to be more of that, and have you ever had other gratitude practices that maybe you use that you don't use anymore, or new gratitude practices that you kind of have implemented, or just kind of curious?
So when you say practices, like, I guess,
well, like, I journal. So I journal my
Okay.
gratitude. Some people have gratitude jars where they put, they encourage the family to put things in. Certainly prayer, gratitude is prayer. And my guess is that that's an active part of your gratitude practice as well.
My faith,
Your faith.
100%. Oh gosh, yeah, that is first and foremost, and through my faith. Oh gosh, yes. And I think one of the things I'm trying, and I think we're always trying to evolve as humans, but one of the big things I've learned myself, especially going on this journey and with Victoria, and then starting Project Walk and starting the foundation, I still found myself, I was running, and I think sometimes when you do have pain, and you're running and you're trying to numb it, one of the big things I've had to really working really hard in my gratitude practice is to being more present. Yes. And stopping and being present, so that I can fully take in around what I'm grateful for. And that's a hard thing for me, because I'm a type A. I'm like, gotta go, gotta do, and I'm like, I have to. I think self-love, I'm really working on that, and I'm being grateful for who I am, and you know, I've been so grateful for everything around, but then I thought, well, if we don't love and care for ourselves, then there's not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be much good. So that's been really hard. That's been a very hard thing for me, is being grateful for myself
I
and what
love
I'm
that,
doing.
Jacqueline. That is
But
such
it's
an
very hard. I'm
important.
saying this for the first time, like I'm sharing
Yeah.
that, but this is one of the things I think, in my mom's death too, one of the things she was always, you know, you're just going so much, you're doing so much. And I know that, I need to honor that, because I think I will be a better person if I also just get quiet and be present. And what is my next thing that I'm supposed to hear? And I think that's a lot of times I know God does. Sometimes he throws us on our back and gets us quiet so we can really truly listen. And I know that happened to us 16 years ago. And, you know, and I do understand that. And through that, I did obviously find my faith. I had that growing up, but I didn't have a relationship. I had religion, but not a relationship. And so really hearing and being present, and also hearing from that part too. But I think I really have to focus on self-love for myself, and having gratitude that I'm healthy, and, you know, and nurturing myself. So I think that's a new practice for me, and I'm working on
Love it. Love it. Yes. Yes.
trying to not think of it as being selfish, but, you know.
Right. But when we don't kind of, you know, put gas in the gas tank, we don't go anywhere. And it's the same, you know, if we don't kind of take care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to serve our families, service the community that we are there to really empower and support. And at the same time, right, Jacqueline, just for you, kind of knowing all that you see and all that you hear, that's heavy stuff. And so that taking care of you is, you know, for each of us, it's such an important.
And when you say putting, you know, the gas, it's like I always say to people that people take better care of their cars than they do themselves.
It's true.
I
Because
agree.
they're always, what happens when you put the wrong gas in your car, right? What happens if we fuel negative thinking into our body and or eat the wrong things? So at the end of the day, I think that's one of the things is self-love and gratitude to self.
Yes.
Mhm.
And even that kind of playing off of you put the wrong gas, and what fuels me isn't necessarily what fuels you. And so tapping into kind of how each of us individually gets nourished, and what those activities are it's an important piece to recognize that.
And I think that's one thing we have to do, is respect that and respect each other. And that's one thing I'm careful to not push my, you know, will share what people want to know, but I'm very respectful for the fact that we're all on our own journey, and we're all at different levels of that journey. And I mean, my daughter Victoria was born wiser at 3 years old than I am at 62 years old. You know, but I honor that, and I'm you know, and I respect that. So
I'm sorry, we have an unregistered guest.
That's all right. Hi, Daniel.
And Jacqueline,
See,
I'm not comparing. I never compare, but yeah, and this takes me back, and of course I've known Lisa since she was little, because I've worked with her mom. So Lisa's first program had Mary McManus on, and she was a woman who had polio and I think had post-polio syndrome, if I remember correctly, and you know, worked her way back with lots of, you know, hard work and faith, and you know, becoming grateful. Well, I think she had been all along. I don't think that changed anything. Would you like to finish over there? Okay.
can we
Say
just
hi
talk
to
about
Dave.
the love? Can we talk about this straight up love right here?
Isn't it beautiful?
Unadulterated and pure. This is pure.
Yep.
This young man, this is Daniel, my son, Daniel James.
Hi, Daniel. Nice to meet you,
Lisa,
Daniel.
Jacqueline. Yeah, this Dana. Look, Michelle. That's Jay. Hi, Mr. J. Hey, dude. Hey, dude. Dude. So this has been my journey. And as you had said, it wasn't not what I might necessarily have chosen on a menu, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Wouldn't
I
change
would
it.
not
Yeah.
change a thing.
Not
Daniel's
change it.
30,
Absolutely.
and it has changed me so many ways. Oh, Mr. J has an unregistered guest too.
And there's
yeah. So this guy, yeah, this I know it, and that is unconditional love right there too. So it's it's all good. So
Yeah.
but everything you say, and especially about this, and I think that as females, I hate to say that, but we're almost groomed or we're scripted somehow, whether it be overtly or covertly, but you're scripted to do everything for everyone and put
Yep.
yourself last. Not that you're literally told that. I mean, I never was, but you fall into that that role. Now, when I
Because
was
we
a senior
can't do
in high school-
everything.
well, yeah, I remember I was a senior in high school, and the guidance counselor calls all of you in. Mr. Lord was his name, and he said, "Okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to get married? Are you going to be a secretary, a teacher, or a nurse?" That was it. So, okay, and I know that those were the times, and he was a nice guy and all of that, but I mean, in some ways we were very pigeonholed. In some ways we were, doing anything else was not an option. A police officer, a scientist, any of those things. I mean, he spent, of course, more time with the boy students in my class than he did with any of the girls, because it was a rote speech he had for all the girls. So which of these four are you going to do? So you had a choice of four things to do. So but I chose to be a nurse, and then I met Linda, and then I met Lisa, and here we are today. So it's all good. Are you going to say bye-bye and then finish what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, say bye to the ladies and to the
Bye.
gentlemen.
And
Say
Jay.
bye.
Thank-
Say
Thank
bye.
you
Bye,
for
nice
joining us,
meeting you.
Daniel.
There you go, boo boo. Go finish. You can go finish, boo. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I love you too.
My
yeah,
heart.
you're
Oh
busy.
my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Oh, I'm so glad
bye-bye,
you
and I-
joined us, Patty. That was
Oh,
just, I think it fit perfectly into the conversation of,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. He fits in far more than he doesn't. And so my journey and on a parallel path, and again, never comparing, but trying to let people know that, in his preschool class, 3 years old, when he went to the preschool class, and he didn't go to the public school because it was only an afternoon class for 3-year-olds. And I went, he naps. And the parents got together of this little church-based preschool, and they went to the director, who was my neighbor, and they said, yeah, we don't think our kids should be in school with him because we're afraid our kids will catch what he has.
Oh, no,
Because-
stop. This was
'cause
30
it's
years,
so contagious.
27 years
Well,
ago.
20, this is 27 years ago. And I
Yeah.
remember, and she said, I'm going to tell you something that I don't want to hurt you, but I want to let you know because I am behind you 100%. Nothing's going to change. She had done special education and then became a director of this preschool. So this was her jam. He was her jam. And she said, so but just in case it comes up, or if you said something, they said something. So she told me, and I said, and those are the same people that walk into the voting polls with us, with you and me. I mean, we, at that point, I thought, so we get it, but they don't. Well, that is frightening, and these are people who work and we're professional people. And it's like, and that was 27 years ago. Yeah. So,
I was going to say, special ed continues to be a challenge. I mean, I think,
oh, Michelle is she's going to hurt her neck if she keeps doing that. Yeah. Yes, it is. It is difficult. I mean, and having worked in the school system, I do see both sides of it. I understand it. I think you have, I know you have, and I've seen it, unreasonable expectations that parents have of their children. So the parent, and it's, there are just some things, there are some things that are black and white, not many, because I believe that, everybody has potential that none of us know they have.
And
But there are some circumstances that, and it's like, so, but certainly as, and that wasn't anything I thought about either until I was in the midst of it. And being discriminated against wasn't anything I had ever faced until
Right.
this.
Yeah.
So just like you had said, well, never thought about it, but we don't, and that's human. We don't think about a situation or a diagnosis or anything for the most part, unless somehow you're in it, you're either in it for the moment or you work within it. Because other than that, it's just because you are in your world, one foot ahead of the other, like you said, okay, what's the menu for this week and how am I going to get everybody to where they need to be and whatnot. So, yeah, so it is a wake up call, very much so. And, there were people who were my friends and then, they walked away. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for
They did
sharing
that.
Daniel and your story. So,
Well, he kept eyeballing me and I said, yes, I know you have headphones on. I don't, but you can,
Yeah.
so he.
that's
wanted to
okay.
warm his
That's okay. Happy to have him be here,
Yeah.
Jacqueline, so I know you kind of incorporate the gratitude throughout the day. We were talking about gratitude practices that maybe other things that maybe you've practiced or have thought of practicing or anything like that. Or you just kind of between prayer and just kind of naming it and being present to really kind of take it in? Does that kind of best describe your practice?
Well, it's just all encompassed, it's all consuming for me. So I've done journaling. I have, when that's another thing of trying to slow down and just of thinking of what I want to do. I realized I was doing self-help books up the yin yang, and I'm actually like, no, I'm good. I want to just kind of just start reading for some pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So I'm kind of going away from the trying to solve it all the time. And I obviously last year I did a lot of kind of trauma healing because I did have a lot of PTSD of what went on with Victoria and just trying to get rid of triggers. So I think it led up, like I was saying, of trying to do that, trying to heal my soul and trying to do the more self. So I've kind of like, for me, it's exercise, it's taking in a sunrise. I think my practices obviously are, I think I'm repeating myself, is trying to just being in the moment. I think over the years, my gratitude practices have evolved, and I look back at where I was 16 years ago, and I say like the infantile stages of what understanding it. So I feel like I'm embracing being a lifelong learner with it. And I'll hear different quotes. I'm always writing quotes down. I'm always writing different little things that I hear, because I feel like they don't happen by mistake, and we might be drawn to a book or to something, or someone might call and give you that message. So I'm really doing a lot of finding the little signs. And also I think with losing my mom, I'm trying to really feel her around me. So I'm finding that kind of, if that makes any sense, again, that goes back to being down to like trying to really find the beauty of things, and not that the shoe's going to drop. And I have had to, because we had such a roller coaster with Victoria, and even this past spring, I think I'm trying to I'm trying to be the glass half full as much as I possibly can, because today's a gift and that's what we have. And it was interesting. One of the quotes I had heard that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not always the freight train. You know what I mean? And I loved that. I was like, people say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but then you're like, what if it's the freight train? You know, so it's like trying to not look at it as it's the freight train that's going to come in and pull me over again, that maybe this is a light and a positive thing. So I was like, that was my quote. I was like,
oh, that's so great.
Fantastic. Because do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to not do that. Okay, here we go again. Just try to just trust. And I think it's trusting in the knowing, and that's back down to my faith and doing that and finding that inner peace, you know. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. Yeah. No,
I think I'm ever evolving. I'm ever evolving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I'm ever gonna have it all figured out with the gratitude.
No, life is a process, the journey. And so, right. It's, you know, we are.
And I think it's not only ongoing learning, but I think it's ongoing healing. And I can speak to that. And I think I understand that exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ongoing. Yeah.
Ongoing.
Yeah. Ongoing. The healing will be ongoing. And
yeah, absolutely.
you know, so I just have to look at that. I mean, it's like the preschool director who said at his age, 3 years old, he's very limited. Don't kill yourself doing things for him.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah. And I get that. We don't, mama bears don't give up on their babies. That's for sure.
Never. No.
Jacqueline, you brought up books. Do you have any kind of book that kind of struck you in terms of gratitude, or one that just kind of felt like it filled your soul? Any
so the book I have, when you had asked me that before, that it wasn't so much gratitude, but it was what started me on my journey. And I had been given, it's called The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is I don't even remember where I got it, or I don't remember buying it. I just know it was on my bookshelf. And when Victoria, in the very beginning, I think I was like 3 months into this journey, we were getting ready to go into Mass General, and I grabbed it off the shelf because I was so lost. I was very lost, and I was very desperate, and I didn't know. I really realized I was alone, and I didn't know what I was. Like I said, I had religion, but not a personal relationship. So I didn't even really know what I was searching for. And I knew doctors weren't helping us. They were saying that she was making it all up, and I'm watching her get sicker and sicker. And I was in Mass General, and I started reading it. And it was crazy because literally when you open it, that's what it says, is that this is exactly the time you're supposed to be reading this book. Like this, God, intended for you. This is, you're reading this exactly at the right time. And it was during Mass General that I actually just literally fell to my knees, and I was so alone. And then I thought, I just handed her over, and I said, God, I only have you, because don't get me wrong, I had family and support, but as far as Victoria and I on this journey and the everyday grind of it, I had to figure this out. And so I read that book, and it just resonated with me, and I highlighted it all up, and it was just started me on my journey, my faith journey, which really was what ended up healing Victoria, was just through all of that. But the crazy thing about that book is I put it back on the shelf and I completely forgot about it. And then fast forward to 7 years later, when we were going out to California, and Victoria at that point, she had won a gold medal. She was still in a wheelchair, but she was good, and she had a great life, and we had totally accepted her being in the chair. But I was lost, because all of a sudden she didn't need me with the intensity that she needed me before. And I was like, what's for me? Like, what's left for me? Like, who's going to hire? Oh, qualifications, taking care of a sick child and triplets. And I was that kind of things of being a mom that had taken home and done, and like, what am I going to do? And I had so much to give, and I was so lost. And we were heading to California, and I pulled this book off the shelf again. I just heard, take it. And I literally started reading it, and it spoke to me in a whole different way, which is so crazy. It was like I had never read it before. And it was, my thing was, what is my purpose? Like, what is it that I'm supposed to do now? Like, what is my calling? And it was just revealed that it would be revealed to me in California, and I had no clue. And I would go down to the beach, because Carlsbad Project Walk was really near the ocean, and Victoria would be training at Project Walk, and I would go down to the beach and read the book. And it was just crazy. And in the process being out there, I found my purpose. And that was, like, we talk about the guidance counselor, what do you want to do? And I was 18. I'm like, well, I just want to help people. Like, what's that career? Do you know what I'm saying? And here I was in my 50s and still so lost. And then I found what my life's calling was. And this book just made me so open to that, and kind of taught me how to find my life's purpose. But it changed my life, because that was when I found Project Walk, which then I launched the foundation. And I honestly feel like my soul, I'm so, it's like, do what you love what you do. You never work a day in your life. Like, I've never felt so completed and so fulfilled with my legacy and and all because I went on this crazy journey with this child. And in it, I almost feel like Victoria got it, and she almost went through this so that I could learn what it is that I had to learn about myself. And through this, finding Project Walk, and I have clients that come in my office and they say, you've given me my reason back for living. And so I can't put anything on what that's done for me. And I'm just, again, when I think about before this journey, and I was living really half a life, I had so much, but I was dead inside. And now I'm so full. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm feeling empty these last few weeks because of my mom, but honestly, I am so full because I really feel like I'm doing my life purpose. I'm helping those people that I wanted to help. And it was such a hard road to get here, but I can't even imagine not going through this and doing what I'm doing now. And with Susan and the foundation and the people that we're helping and the scholarship recipients, and helping someone be able to have a caregiver to get them out of bed, just all of the things. I'm like, we're doing this. And so, in a long answer to your short question, it was the purpose-driven life for me that really changed my life. And in changing my life, I found gratitude, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you. I do want to give people an opportunity, if anybody has a question that they want to ask Jacqueline, or a comment, or anything. We've got a few more minutes before we want to wrap it up. So anybody have a question? Is that you? You want, go ahead, Dana.
I want to know if I can visit Padawan Boston.
If you can what?
Visit?
Visit? Oh, of course you can visit.
Okay. And I really want to know. Unfortunately, I can't go to the Halloween party this year. Maybe another year, but I want to know if I can visit Padawan Boston.
Of course you can. Of course you can. You don't even have to ask, Dina. You don't even have to ask.
Thank you.
And we'll have to coordinate when Victoria's there, so you can see
Right.
Victoria.
Right.
Yeah, I hope and I pray that I'm watching by then. I'm so close.
You're so close though, Dana. You're doing so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what, Dana, it's so slow. I tell that to my clients. It's like, it is slow. It does take a long time.
That's why they have snow.
Yeah.
I know. Hang in there.
Yes. Hang it. Yes.
But you can, you definitely, of course, you don't even have to ask. That goes without saying.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or thoughts that they wanted to share? Thank you, Jacqueline. I so appreciate this time for you sharing your story and your inspiration, because I think that it is in hearing these stories that people don't feel alone, that people feel uplifted. And I think, you know, we all have our own struggles. And I think that, you know, you share just the beauty of your process. And I think that I so appreciate you sharing your heart, because I think
Oh,
that
thank you.
I think that is, it just uplifts people, and it validates each person's own challenges, and at the same time gets us to think about how we can do things differently to be in a better place. And that's kind of what I love about my cup of gratitude, is these conversations kind of take their own take their own path. And you know, and I always love to see how they transpire. So thank you, Jacqueline, for
My pleasure. And I think to your point is, I think everybody is on their journey. And I say to my clients, your feelings you need to feel to heal. And I always say, come in and shut the door. This is your Shangri-La to the outside world, and be your authentic self. And I think if you're angry, let's be angry. If you're sad, be sad with us, happy, because you have to acknowledge all of those feelings, because if you don't, you're just holding them inside you. And so I think that everybody acknowledging that this is hard. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but like you said, acknowledging and them, owning them, and let yourself feel it. And that's important.
and work through it, because then when you
Work through
feel
it,
it and
yeah.
you acknowledge it, you can
Work through it.
those
Yeah.
feelings
But
and
thank you
get
for
to
your
the other
kind
side.
words. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna stop recording.